At the forklift? Marisol told me near the trucks in the dark. They're about to send me, but they check everything. They check everything part by part as if they were looking for something important.
¡Ay! ¡Permisar! Calmungarela, me canceles var eso. Kylo, Cherro, que chilica. Kylo, Cherro. Kylo. Uy, chetar.
Claudel said those bald beings, he saw them too. They don't look human. Disturbing stuff. Tell him. Tell him it's true. Angel collapsed. He couldn't stand what he saw. They're on the second truck. I can't even imagine seeing him. The truck collapsed, the second one, the one with those beings. The truck with them on it? Did it really happen? I'm careful not to make myself heard, but tell them that the situation is out of control. Those bald people and everything that's happening is due to the lights and something I don't understand. Angel told me, don't stop, I'll go all the way. Hey, enough. Let's leave it alone. Everything is falling apart here. The bald people are hairless. Bald.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and it's looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. 100% they're not human.
I think that the evidence at this particular time with what we've seen here is proof, a couple things, that these entities, both in the background and in the foreground behind the fence, are real. They're there. This is not fake. This is not a fraud. I guarantee it.
Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. I hope you enjoyed that little opening segment today. I want to talk. We're going to talk a little bit more about the translation, how I received it, and some of the reasons why it's incomplete. But it's the best we have to date. And I want to thank. Actually, it's Nicola Doganiero, and he's from Italy, and he's been a subscriber to my YouTube channel for a while. He's under the name File Mazio. But I want to say thank you very much, Nicola, for providing the translation. It was something that nobody has nobody has been able to do this. I also want to thank John Hobart. He's also a subscriber to my channels, and he's the one who provided the excellent musical score. He actually just sent it to me today. It was funny because it came in handy. He had no idea what I was working on today, but he sent that to me, and I figured, you know what, I think I'll use this for that opening. So I want to say thanks a lot to John. But yeah, Nicola, he had provided a partial translation recently in one of his messages, and I asked him if he's able to try to do the whole thing, and he did the best that he could. I actually tried to get a translation earlier this year. I actually contacted a professional translation service, and they were unable to provide. They were unable to decipher it. They couldn't do it. A lot of people had pointed out that it's a variation of Romani, which is a language that contains many different languages, and it depends. There's all different versions of Romani, but actually Nicola doesn't think it is. He says it's more Catalan. And we'll talk about what he sent to me, and then we're going to talk about what is discussed. The translation itself. We'll go through it because some of it does seem confusing, particularly early on, but some of it does provide some additional insight. I found it fascinating. But anyway, let's get to the. Actually, it's interesting because when I every time I talk to Nicola, he writes to me in Italian, so I got to always, I got to translate what he's writing to me. So what happened here, he actually provided a translation of the video in Italian, so I had to take it on to Google Translate and to see what he wrote back to me, and that's where I got the translation from. But this is what he wrote. He says, "Hi Jim, I did the translation as best I could. I would like to point out that it is not Romani. The Romani translator could not identify it, but it is Catalan, 63%, based on neural programs for identifying languages with dialectal inflections, especially on the part of the wife. I used 6 programs: Sonics, DeepL, Romani Translator, ChatGPT-4, Gemini, and Interpret, and it was not easy. I scanned in 184 languages, including those of Eastern Europe, North Africa, and India. In reality, it is Catalan with strong dialectal influences. My wife also helped me. Her native language is, she's from Peru." And then he provided the result. And then at the end he says, what does he say here? He said, "This is what I managed to extrapolate. It's a shame that some sentences are frankly untranslatable. However, I think it's quite exhaustive. It is evident a situation of stress and anguish in the witnesses. There are overlapping voices that make everything more difficult. The use of dialect forms of language makes everything more difficult. If you want to publish it, no problem for me. I think it is important." So thank you very much, Nicola, for providing this. This was excellent. And there were things with regard to this that were some stuff doesn't make sense. But we'll go through it a little bit, one sentence at a time over that 1 minute and 41 second long little video. Okay, it starts off basically. It's the mother, Contra. Again, the Kenmore family. They're using a pseudonym, and I'm imagining that some of the names that are thrown out here, first names are. I have no explanation for it. For instance, there's a first name used, Maripol. I don't know. That could mean Mary. Maybe Contra's real name is Mary. I don't know. But I don't think it's a big deal. Anyway, so basically it starts off with at the forklift. And then Marisol told me near the trucks in the dark, and that's the husband, Bobby, talking. Marisol told me near the trucks in the dark. Whether that is the correct translation, or if he's talking about his wife, it's unknown. But what the husband's talking about there. He's saying that somebody told him that's near the trucks in the dark is where these creatures are. Okay, let's go to the next statement here. It goes on for a little while. Yeah, this right here was indecipherable. Nicola was unable to get anything from this right here. And then when they walk in the yard, then the mother starts talking, and she says here they're about to send me, and it was indecipherable. But the one, actually, Nicola wrote that he had a question mark by it. It said they are about to send me schedules, and that didn't make sense to him, and it doesn't make sense to me. I guess, this is what happens when there's this rare language that you're dealing with. It's hard to get a translation, and of course the family doesn't want to talk about this anymore, as Scott Roeder recently reported. But anyway, it says here they are about to send me schedules, but they check everything. And then when you look at the next sentence, she says they check everything part by part, as if they were looking for something important. When looking at this, I was thinking that maybe what she was trying to accomplish as they walked into the yard, she was basically documenting this, like trying to do her own little version of a documentary as they were walking in the yard to investigate, and maybe this is what she did say, or something close to it, and she was trying to document what was happening. But then, of course, the wheels come off and they get scared out of the yard. There you hear the cold fear. And a lot of this right here was indecipherable. But I think it's pretty safe to say that I think the mother was trying to tell them to shut the gate. That's what
Kylo!
And now Bobby has a comment here. This is when he was describing, this was a very interesting part of this video, when you could tell he was talking about the creature's big heads and big eyes. He was actually, he used his hands to show this, to make this clear. But in the translation, it says, Claudel said those bald beings, he saw them too. They don't look human. Now, Claudel, I don't know, is that the other son Joshua he's referring to, and that's and this was how the translation came out. Like some of these parts of this translation are probably not correct, and of course some of them we don't even have. But was he talking about the son Joshua? Joshua said those bald beings, he saw them too. They don't look human. Look at these. Right there, he held up his. He indicated by using his hands their large eyes and big heads.
Guys.
And then somebody says disturbing stuff. I think that's perhaps Contra. And then they're talking about tell him. It looks like they're getting when you look at this translation over a few times, it seems like what's going on here. They were already planning possibly to call the police. So now there's somebody saying here, tell him. Tell him it's true. Tell him it's true. And I think what they could have possibly been saying here is call the. They were actually somebody had indicated to Angel to contact the police and tell him it's true. I think that's what was being relayed at that point. Again, this is speculation on this. We don't really know because the family's not going to talk. But this is the best we can get with regards to a translation. I find it extremely fascinating. By the way. Okay, and then he goes on. This is the father says, Angel collapsed. He couldn't stand what he saw. They're on the second truck. Now, this is interesting. They talk about the trucks. Was it on that pickup truck? Is that what they're meaning? Or are they talking about the front loader where they're hanging around the front loader? When that being comes chasing them out of the yard, you would have to. I always imagine that they probably jumped up on the truck and then jumped down, and maybe that got right in their face, and that's what they got scared out of the yard. Or maybe it was behind the truck. We really don't know. But you're talking about a second truck, and of course there's two pieces of heavy equipment back there, and the beings, as we all know, based on all of the viewings of the video, that's where they're hiding out at that front loader, the one that was in the front. Are they meaning that's the second truck, or are they talking about this pickup truck? Or do they mean that the second truck, the truck behind, the vehicle behind the pickup truck, which is that front loader, which would mean the second truck? But basically that's what he says here. Angel collapsed, and as we know, Angel did talk about how he felt frozen when he looked at these creatures in the eyes. He felt like he was paralyzed temporarily, and you see the way he scattered out of that yard quickly, like as if he was collapsing. Anyway, let's go on to the next sentence.
Kai, firmizar, firmizar. Que
Ang Claudette ko
pero firmizar. Firmizar, porque no.
And I think this is the mother saying, "I can't even imagine seeing him." Talking about the one of the creatures. She can't even imagine seeing him.
Diles, esos son.
So you open it, and then this is the father saying the truck collapsed. The second one, the one with those beings. So again, I think he could be talking about that front loader that's behind the pickup truck there. Did he mean? And when again, there's things getting lost in translation here. I mean, obviously, this was translated by someone who speaks Italian, and he was it was a language that he was having trouble with deciphering, and then he did the best he could, and then now I translated it from Italian using Google Translate into English. So when he says the truck collapsed, the second one, the one with those beings, does that mean maybe the truck was compressed down somewhat? It collapsed a little bit because they were standing on something. Is that what that means? Possibly.
Kai.
Let's continue.
Segundo, de para acá de cables.
Kai, quiero te dicaban la del. Kai,
Okay, the truck with that, and this is the mother apparently saying, the truck with them on it, did it really happen? And remember, the mother was, of the four members of that family, the mother was the one who said she didn't see the beings herself. Like she didn't see them. But she did. She is the one apparently who filmed it. Okay, and then this is the father saying, "I'm careful not to make myself heard, but tell them that the situation is out of control." And I think this is probably instructions, apparently, to Angel to call the cops. He's trying to keep quiet, keep his voice down, so he's not heard by these beings, right? But tell them that the situation is out of control. I'm taking this meaning that tell the police that the situation's out of the control. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Now, this one's probably the most interesting comment here. He says, the father says, "Those bald people and everything that's happening is due to the lights and something I don't understand." Of course, what he's referring to here, obviously, is the lights that came down from the sky that his two sons witnessed, and now there's something in his yard that he doesn't understand. So I think this one here is probably the most intriguing comment that we can glean from this translation. I really find that fascinating. So basically, and he's calling them the bald people. That it's being translated as those bald people, and he says that several times throughout this video. And everything that's happening is due to the lights and something I don't understand. Due to the lights that came down from the sky and something he doesn't understand. And that something he doesn't understand is what's going on in the backyard right now. That's how I looked at that sentence there. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, and he goes, "Angel told me don't stop, go all the way." Now there was some chatter going back and forth with him and the wife and the husband here, and I think what you're seeing here, we're getting the translation of what the father's saying. Angel told me don't stop, go all the way. He's telling her when they first went in the yard. Angel apparently was telling him just go in all the way and don't stop. And they start walking in, and they're going to just go right in, and they're loaded for bear with the handguns, and he was just explaining to her that, I believe. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Hey, enough. Let's leave it alone. I'm not sure who's saying this, if it's the father or if that was something that the mother said. I'm unsure. Everything is falling apart here. I think this was something that the father might have said. The bald people are hairless. Bald. Now that's definitely what something, because I've pointed that out before. He was using the word pelon numerous times, and pelon in Spanish, that means bald. And so I think what happened here, his wife had said something, and she had probably had a question, and he was just trying to clarify. Yes, the bald people are hairless. Bald. He was probably just pointing out. So what they were seeing were these bald, hairless. He was seeing these bald, hairless aliens, and he was just trying to explain it to her. And then it comes to an end. So this is the best we got, I think, to this point. I find it fascinating, find it very interesting, and I was very excited to put this up here today. and upload it. And I want to say thank you again to Nicola for putting on the work to do this. And yeah, I know it had to be difficult. I mean, I tried a lot of different things and I couldn't get anywhere with it. Obviously, you got a lot further than I did. But again, it's the best we have at this point. I mean, until I think the only way to get a true full translation would be through the family, but I would say for the time being this will do. And again, it just more evidence to throw onto the fire. Obviously, these people were talking about alien creatures. That's what they were referring to as this incident evolved during that minute and 41 seconds on this video. That's what they're talking about. It's in a different language. Obviously, there's going to be some things that are lost in the translation for lots of reasons. Of course, again, Nicola, he speaks Italian. He was having trouble translating this. He thought it was Romani. He thinks it was something else. 63% Catalan. It could be a version of Romani, though. Still, I did look that up. There are versions of Romani that includes all different languages, and one of them is Catalan. Some of them do have that included. So it could still be Romani, a version of that. But again, he translated it into his native Italian, and then he sent me that information, and I had to translate his Italian using Google Translate to see what his translation said. So it did. There could be some things lost in translation down the line here, but to me, I think this is very interesting, and I want to say thank you again, Nicola, for that, and I also want to thank John Hobart for providing that really interesting musical score that I was able to use for the beginning section of this podcast. But anyway, I want to say thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.